Welcome, everybody. It's Julie Boye here. Super excited for another one in my self-love series interviews. I've got a great friend here, Stephanie Packer. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to finally get the chance to connect with you. Steph and I have known each other for quite some time. We were connected initially through our USANA businesses, and she is actually a mindset and energy coach. She's also someone who really knows how to show up as your authentic self on social media. I love following what she's doing because it makes me feel really good and happy. And also, I get to know the authentic person that you are. We live on opposite ends of Canada, literally on opposite ends of Canada. So she's on the East Coast, not far from Peggy's Cove.
That's right. Yeah, I'm about a 7-minute drive from
Oh,
Peggy's Cove.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're Peggy's Cove, and I am literally the other end on Vancouver Island. So on the coast, on the Pacific coast. So I'm just really excited to hear a little bit about your story. I'm wondering if you can tell us kind of how you got to where you are today. I know you've had several different parts of your career, even in your journey in USANA, to bring you where you are today as a mindset and energy coach.
Yes. Well, thanks, Julie. I love that you're doing this series because self-love is the name of the game. So I am so happy you're shining a light on that. And I just love speaking about it. So basically, my story had like some twists, as a lot of our stories do. And how I got to the point where I am now an energy coach and teaching women how to manage their emotional and physical energy is that I was feeling really drained in my own energy for a very long time, and I didn't know what to do about it, how to fix it. And it really kind of was this self quest on like, how can I feel my best? So long story short, many years ago, I went to holistic nutrition school. So I actually started as a holistic nutritionist, and I loved that journey because it like cracked me wide open to discover so many things about myself, but then that I could identify in other women and help them master their energy levels, again, physically or emotionally, because it's all interconnected. I really take a holistic approach to how I operate and how I coach others, and mindset definitely falls in there because if you have negative lack mindset, it definitely affects your energy levels as well. So I kind of went from food and nutrition. That's how I found USANA Health Sciences, which I'm so grateful for. And that's still a very strong pillar in how I teach other women to be more energized. And here we are today. I've built a business mostly through social media, which I think we're going to talk about too. And it feels so amazing to be able to help others feel their best, to make sure I'm staying on top of feeling my best and turning that into a business. Like, that's crazy that you can do that.
I love that. And what I love too is that, we talk about how you and I live on opposite coasts. We're both in very small communities. We're both really isolated. So using social media and those connections is actually what allows us today to create a business, living in a place that, holds our heart every step of the way. I love seeing your sunset pictures. You're more a sunset than a sunrise. I'm the sunrise. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm not up that early yet.
Yeah, either way, but you're walking in nature, you're taking that time, but you're also showing up on social media. And that's been a lot of how you've been able to grow your tribe and grow your business. Now, I think one of the things we struggle with though, is that often our time on social media can be really draining. And I know you talk a lot about this and coach about this. How can we get rid of that feeling? What can we do differently to really get a benefit from social media?
Yeah, I'm so happy we're talking about this because all of these things come from our own personal experience, right? Like, I knew living in a rural, smaller community, the impact I wanted to create, it wasn't really feasible for me to get in my car and drive long distances and do all the workshops and do all those things. So I started leaning more and more on social media. But in the beginning, it was fun, but also you could get really sucked down into the rabbit hole and be like, I just spent so many hours here. I wasn't productive. I actually feel kind of cranky because I was like on a screen for so long. And I got to that point where I was like, if I'm going to be building on social media, I need to have some established boundaries, and I need to have some best practices and be able to show up fully and authentically and feeling really energized, because I want to bring my best self, even if it is through Instagram, because our energy speaks so clearly and so loudly that you do need to be the same person in real life as you are online. And I just needed to tweak some stuff. And basically, the first step I would say is setting some boundaries. Like, how many of us have our phone in our hand all of the time? People are expecting us to respond to them immediately because they know your phone is probably close by. And I often joke that, we used to say BRB, like be right back. We don't even say that anymore because we literally are online 24/7. It doesn't go away. So that means you need to implement some boundaries, and that's different for every single person. But for me, I show up powerfully and then I get off. Like, I can't have hours and hours on my device. And I really encourage others to do the same, because it does leak your energy, whether you think it does or not. So really solid boundaries and being really intentional about why are you on social media? Like, it is a tool. Yes, it's for entertainment, but like, if you're like us and you're using it for business, like, you need to see that it's a tool and how can you best use it to your advantage and fill up your business, your pipeline, your energy, and again, not be the opposite and being super draining.
And I love that you say really like your first thing is about boundaries, because it's true. And there are so many ways now that we can create boundaries. You can even check in your Instagram stats to see how much time you're spending on Instagram, which is really, sometimes it's really helpful. Sometimes it's like very shocking, but you got to start to know where am I actually online and how much am I actually getting done. And I have to say that one of the reasons I love doing these videos is because we're face to face, we're on this Zoom call, and I can't be on my phone. And it provides a way, like, I feel like I get so much out of these interviews because I'm away from my device. I'm connecting with someone really, like, to me, this is real life. We are physically connecting, energetically connecting, even though we're not in the same room. I mean, thank goodness for technology that's bringing us all together. And in the same breath, without the boundaries that you've just suggested that we create, it can make us physically ill for sure. So what about, this habit we have of scrolling and, seeing things that are uplifting but negative? Like, how do you balance what you see on your feed as well?
So one of the questions I get asked all of the time is, should I follow everybody back that follows me? Or should I comment, or should I engage on everything that is coming at me? Mm-hmm. And there's different answers for that. But for me, I'm really, again, I have solid, strong boundaries, and I only follow people that inspire me or bring positivity or inspiration to my day. I don't feel obligated, or I don't feel guilty if I don't connect back with someone if they're simply not, and it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means that I'm really selective and I have a very curated feed, because I want to go on Instagram or Facebook and only feel good. I don't want to go on and start comparing or feeling negative. And that's, of course, part of real life, real worlds. But my bubble in terms of social media, I'm pretty protective with what goes on there. And I think a lot of us need to give ourselves more permission to be a little more protective and set more solid boundaries. Like, you don't have to follow every single person. If they're like getting under your skin, or if they're upsetting you, or they're like setting your day off, like, why would you do that to yourself?
Well, because sometimes it's family or it's our closest friends. So, but there are ways we can just not necessarily unfriend them, but we can just not follow them and see their stuff less often. We can click on, see less of their content. I do think actually what you're saying is a really important act of self-love, because our mindset is so influenced by what we see and what we hear and what we read. So if we are practicing self-love and kindness, curating our feed and being in our own bubble, I think that's actually a really positive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it really is. And like to not feel guilty about doing it. And something you just touched on there with the mindset and the self-love part is that this kind of goes into boundaries as well, is the very first thing we do in the morning and the very last thing we do at night, we're really subjective to. So that's where you should not be scrolling on Instagram. And it's like, if you do that, if the second you wake up, you open your eyes or right before you go to sleep, you're scrolling and looking at everybody else, it's like saying that like that person's life is more important than your time, more important than like your goals. So that is part of my self-love and boundaries with social media, is I really, and I'm not perfect at this, and I go through waves where it's better, and then sometimes I get, you know, sucked into the vortex of it. But to not have social media be the first or last thing that I do in my day. And I feel so much better in my mindset and my energy when I can implement that rule.
And I think too, this self-love actually includes things that we stopped doing. So, you know, it's not just about starting and creating new habits. It's about what are we not doing that actually feeds us in a positive way. And what you said is so clear. You know, not starting your day on someone else's agenda with someone else's energy. So I struggled with this for a really long time, and I haven't shared this with anyone really in any of our interviews yet, but I think it's a good opportunity to share. So I used to really struggle. That was the first thing I would do in the morning. And I was like, well, this doesn't really bother me. I have a pretty curated field, but I was like, I don't really want to start my day like this. So I started, there's a book by Melody Beattie, which is a 40-day gratitude project, but I already do a gratitude journal. And I was like, I don't want to just do the same thing. So what this project actually was, is you write what you're grateful for, but like all the bad stuff too. Like you literally write, I am grateful that I woke up this morning with a sore back. I am grateful that I got into a fight last night with my husband, or whatever it is. You write down the actual real gratitude for everything in your life, the really crummy and the really good as well. And then you share it with a partner. And you share it with a partner, you send it to them, and then they send you theirs, but you don't necessarily like comment on it. Like it's just, you're just writing and sharing. I've been doing this with a partner, with Karen, since July. And this morning habit has transformed my life. So I think it's so important that you brought this up about how you're starting your day. So I've shared one of my brand new morning practices that's really worked for me. What do you do first thing in the morning instead of the scroll?
I had resistance. So I don't want to like let everyone believe that these things come really naturally and easy, because
Yeah.
I had so much resistance to this, but it was like this nagging thing in the back of my head for years was to meditate. It was like my intuition, my higher self, whatever, was like, girl, you need to meditate. And I tried, and then I fell off the wagon, and then I tried, and then I resisted. And it felt like it was this really challenging thing. But now it's like clockwork. It's like I look forward to it because I know how much more productive, how much more calm, centered, all of the things that we want to feel. I feel it, and it's how I'm setting the tone. So I almost always do that now, whether it's like first thing in the morning and at night. It's such a nice way to bookend your day, because whether it's a gratitude practice, journaling, meditation, you need some sort of way to like turn inward and just quiet all the noise, like the social media noise, the whatever. It will fill your cup and your energy up tenfold.
And I love that you said you were in resistance for a long time about finding the right practice for you. And that was with me. I did not have a morning practice that stuck for a very, very long time. My gratitude journal thing, I've been doing for 8 years every night. Like that is solid. It's there. It doesn't matter. I'm writing in the journal. But the morning practice thing, I really struggled to find the right thing. And I didn't want to just have a gratitude practice like at night. I wanted something different. And that's what I found. And I love that you said, you know, after so much resistance and listening to the inner voice, you found a practice that works for you. Do you use an app or anything, or do you just do it on your own? Use an app?
I don't use an app, which is interesting because I find that is actually a very good beginner. Like when people ask me how to start meditating or like getting feedback from others, a lot of people have great success with apps, Calm, Insight. There's a bunch of them that are for free. For me, I pop on a guided meditation. So I have a Dropbox with a collection, And so then that also helps me, like, yes, I'm still technically going on my phone, but I have it lined up in my Dropbox so I can just turn it on. It's like, well, what do I feel like I need guidance with today? Is it making decisions? I have a decision making meditation.
Oh.
Is it feeling like more in my power? I have a meditation for that. So I have like a curated list of all the things that I might want to feel or need support with. Yeah. So that is one thing that has really been so helpful for me. And it took a little while to get my library to a point where I'm like excited about it, but it's kind of like, oh, I get to scroll through. What do I want to do today? And I only have about 10 that are like my tried and true. So I suggest people find some that they can tune into if they wanted to start with meditation or journaling, like have a couple solid journal prompts just to get your momentum going.
I've actually never heard that idea, so I love it, because you can have your phone on airplane mode still.
Yes.
And then your Dropbox is downloaded to your phone and you can access them offline. So, because I think that's the trap that I got caught into, because I was using Insight Timer, but I had to turn my phone on and then notifications would show up and I'm like, I'm just going to check this over here for 1 second. Then I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It was one of the reasons I got away from it. So that is a fantastic suggestion for people because so many people have free meditations you can download from their websites, whatnot. So you can find them, curate them in a Dropbox. I absolutely adore that idea.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Now, is there anything specific that you do, with your clients or your tribe around self-love? Because I know you guys do connect on a weekly basis. You connect on a live Zoom call. How do you sort of share self-love with your tribe?
So every Tuesday we do a Zoom call for 40 minutes and we make sure that it's potent, it's like powerful, it's compact. We don't want to drag it on. Although we could talk for hours, we get it down to 40 minutes and that feels really good. So we know to show up and just, celebrate each other. And that's how we always start the call is we dedicate about the first 5 minutes to celebrating our wins. And it doesn't matter what the win is. It can be so seemingly tiny. We always show gratitude for our wins because what you focus on expands. And Miss Gratitude Guru, this is like, if you show gratitude for even the bad things, like you mentioned, like it gets you in this energetic level where life just feels so much more in flow and you feel so much more connected to yourself. And it feels really good to do that. So we have a solid practice where celebration is how we kick the call off. And then we go into different things, whether it's a mindset training or business training, but that's 100% how we start every single time.
That's beautiful. And your tribe does have a beautiful energy. I'm friends with a number of people on your tribe because they're all, you attract who you are. And that's what I love is that you've attracted this amazing group of women who vibrate at a very similar level and have the same kind of values and also this importance towards constant beautiful growth, but also acknowledging like where you are in your journey today.
Yeah.
So you've shared like a whole bunch of different strategies here. You've shared some for social media, for your morning routine, bookending your day. If someone is watching or listening and they can only choose one thing, so whether it's something to start or stop or a new habit to create, what is it that you recommend the most?
Well, all right. I would say we need to get out of our head and get into our heart. Like that needs to be our first, because if you can do that, you're going to cultivate so much more compassion for yourself and for others. Like, don't worry about the logical things or the rational things. I want us to be more connected to our heart and follow through with what our heart wants, because so many of us ignore that. We, for various reasons. Again, it might not seem logical or it might not seem rational, but your heart is telling you something. And I want us to listen to that heart energy way more than anything else. So get out of your head, get into your heart. And that can be through, again, journaling, gratitude practice, meditation, but just be more here, more here. And I don't know, that for me, that's been very transformational.
I adore that suggestion. And yeah, it can be as simple as just literally putting your hand on your heart and remembering that you are a human being with a heart that's beating. And you know, thinking of gratitude for the fact that your heart is still beating, right? It's such a simple, it's actually a really beautiful practice. And I'm so glad you've shared that, because we can start that immediately right at this moment. I'm curious to, you know, see how many people that are listening or watching that actually did what I did, which as soon as you said that, I put my hand over my heart.
I saw that.
My heart. It's like a reaction, right? When you talk about getting into your heart. I love that. Now, of course, everyone's going to want to connect with you because you shared about how you connect on social. So where do we find you?
Yeah, well, I mostly hang out on Instagram, mindfully hang out on Instagram. And it's just at 𝗩𝗓𝗕𝗥.
Okay.
I also have a Facebook business page, and it's 𝗩𝗓𝗕𝗥 Business and Lifestyle Coach. And I have a website at 𝗩𝗓𝗕𝗥.com. So you're probably mostly going to track me down on Instagram.
I would say, yeah. Lots of stories. I love your stories, but you also write so well. I really enjoy reading your posts. I like that you take the time to really write a really strong message. You have really good, your copy is so good. It's very engaging. So I have loved our time together. We could definitely talk for hours, but I think you've really shared a lot in our very short time together. I really hope that the suggestions you've made and the way that you've inspired us to think differently about social media can help a lot of people, because I think it is one of those things that can really hurt our self-love and our self-esteem. So I'm so grateful for this time together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. I'm so grateful for it. And this is a great series. So keep on rocking it.
Thanks.